And what is up, everybody? You know, I don't mean to come off as ungrateful, and I normally don't do rants like this, at least not for this channel or for this particular Facebook page. But I find this interesting thing happening. You know, this past month, I've probably made, just setting up shop on the weekends in the art district of Charlotte, North Carolina. I've made more money in just this past month than any year of Action Fuzz. It's weird, and I'm very, very grateful for that. But I find myself, especially past few weeks, running into this situation a lot. Prime example: this past Sunday, right? See this woman comes up to me, offers wine in a trade for a figure, and I said, no, I don't do that. Somebody even tried offering me weed. It's like, you clearly don't know me. But what happens is, this girl, she really liked the Hulk Hogan figure. Now, this particular championship belt is the WWF World Heavyweight Championship, the one before the Winged Eagle belt, right? And it's only got three plates, so it can fit around the waist, but it's really supposed to be 5 plates. But it's small, compact, just comes around like this. I'll probably make another Hulk Hogan, much bigger one, with a Winged Eagle belt, and I'll have him ripping his shirt, and I'll put him in a shadow box with the old WWF logo in the background. And that one's going to be a little bit more expensive, but this figure is only $25. I range my prices from 20 to 35, and it's always increments of 5, 20, 25, 30, 35. That's it. The most I charge for a single figure is 35. Now, all the work that I put into this probably took about a good maybe 3 or 4 hours to fully build this. His bootlaces took longer than anything else, but for the most part, $25. That's it. Because I understand that because of the materials that I use, it's not considered to be too precious. But considering how cheap the materials are, I still managed to make a huge profit off of it. However, this is something that I was told by Larry Hama. Larry Hama is the writer for G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, to which June is the 38th anniversary of G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero. It's also the 38th year of me being alive. And what happens is, I was talking to him about this when I met him at Joe Fest last year. Because when it came to the figures that I build, it's like no one seems to appreciate, the time that I really put into this. He looks at me and says, they never appreciate your time. And it's sad, because when this girl, she wanted the Hulk Hogan figure, and I tell, she's waiting for her boyfriend to buy it for her, and when I say that it's $25, he's like, that's too much. How about 22? If you're perfectly fine with $22, what's wrong with the extra $3? You can't afford $3 more dollars. And I wasn't going down on the price, because I don't like going down on the price. And I did this at I made this mistake at Undiscovered Realm, and Undiscovered Realm's tables cost $200, right? The year before I did not compromise on the price, and I only made half the money back, right? Last year I let people, talk to my ear. Oh no, you gotta lower the price. This, that, the other. And I sold a bunch of figures and didn't even make $100. Didn't even break $100. So if you're just gonna buy a single figure from me, I'm not going down. I'm not gonna go down on the price. especially when, prime example of this, right? A guy who commissioned me to make a bunch of figures for him, he was supposed to be my dealer. He said he was an art dealer, but I wasn't his client. But he didn't treat me like his client. He treated me like his wholesaler. He bought the stuff off of me and then sold it for more money. Prime example. He commissioned me to make 10 different figures. Okay, fine. He just paid me $300 because if you buy more than one figure from me, I'll give you a deal. And then some of these might not have been, might not have been regular $30 bills, but he still paid me $300 for this because he knows that it was worth more. And it's like, okay, great. Then the two of the figures that I made for him were Marvel's Cloak and Dagger, right, from the comics. And he then calls to tell me that he sold these two figures, right? He manages to sell just these two alone because he put it in a plexiglass box. He sells these two figures for $300. So excuse the living hell out of me for charging $25 and not going down on the price. And I said, if you buy more than one, I could give you a deal. And his friend, who's there with his girlfriend, is looking at this right here. This is the 1987 Michelangelo. It was supposed to go to the voice actor of the 1987 Michelangelo. And unfortunately, since that show got canceled, I'm not going to be able to see them. This took me close to like 5 hours to build. This is a $35 bill. So I let them know, well, Michelangelo's $35. So the jerk who was too cheap to pay $3 extra for Hulk Hogan says, you're a hustler. Really? Really? I'm a hustler because I'm charging you less than what I know my work is worth? What sense does that make? Here's another example of this. This is the 2002 Heman. This was supposed to go to the voice actor of the 2002 Heman, who also happens to be the voice actor of the 1987 Leonardo. And yeah, that show was canceled. So I got this He-Man. He is a $35 bill. No ifs, ands, or buts. And nobody seems to have a problem with it. Very few people actually recognize him because this was a serious difference from how he looked versus his original 1984 cartoon look. Or was it 1983? Don't really remember. But the original 80s cartoon, this was a big difference in the character design. Nobody bugs me about that. And then of course the shadow boxes, because this is hilarious. What happens next? Right? See, the shadow boxes, and this obviously drastically drives up the price, because shadow boxes, I can't get these wholesale. No idea where to get them wholesale. Can't make them myself. So I gotta buy these from Michael's and any other art supply store. And needless to say, just this one alone costs like $25, right? But then I'll even go through the trouble. Like this is for Enter the Dragon. I actually made this for Bob Wall in an event that he didn't show up for. This is Bruce Lee versus O'Hara, played by Bob Wall, and Enter the Dragon. And Bob Wall, unfortunately, just couldn't make it to that particular show. Now, something like this, I'm selling for $100. For those of you who saw my X Factor shadow box with the cover of the first issue of X Factor, or the Avengers shadow box, that I was selling for $150, and even the the X Factor shadow box I'm selling for $300. So what happens is this guy comes up to me and he's trying to haggle me, kind of like my old art dealer, and he's talking about how this is he don't got that much money. How much is this? Looking at the Wolverine I had made. That's 25. Yo, can I get 20? What do I have for 20? Well, Symbiote Spider-Man's only 20. Nah, man, you gotta do something like that. What about Nightcrawler? Well, Nightcrawler's 25. What the Ninja Turtles? The Ninja Turtles are 35. If you want, if you buy two of them, I'll give them to you for 50. Kept trying to lowball me. Not only was he doing a bad job at it, he's also complimenting me on his work and how he thinks that he can help me to sell my stuff for much more money. But you're going to help me sell my stuff for more money, but then you're not even willing to pay the low price that I'm already asking for. And he says that the X Factor shadow box is worth about $1,200 to $1,500 to the right buyer, and he's absolutely right. And I know this. I don't have connections to the right buyer. I'm in the business of trying to make people happy, for the most part. People see my stuff, and 9 times out of 10 they're walking away with a smile. Now, maybe 7 times out of 10 they're walking away with a smile, because I'm a sucker for nostalgia, and everybody is suckers for nostalgia. They just don't like to admit it, because they see stuff that they're familiar with from their childhood, and it immediately brings a smile to their face. So that's what I'm in this business for. And I also want recognition for it. I also want to be known for having done this. And I don't want to be like a Van Gogh who didn't get famous till after he died, and not to mention the fact that his work sucks. Mind you, it's ironic. My favorite painting, I hate Van Gogh's work, but my favorite painting is Starry Night, which was made by Van Gogh. I don't get it either. And for me to know how much my work is worth, and then for people to try to tell me it's not worth that much, it's very frustrating. But at the same time, it's also very motivating. I want to get to a point where it's like, well, you're complaining about Heman being $35. Well, you're definitely gonna be mad when now he costs $100 to try to buy this off of me, because there's plenty of other people that do work like this. They cheat. They'll use other materials. They'll use paint. They'll use markers and stuff like that. One young gentleman in particular that I constantly speak to on Instagram, he'll show me the work that he did, and he'd say, well, I managed to do that in a time. I said, yeah, because you cheat. Because you use this metallic tape, you'll use felt, you'll use these particular bandages, and then color them in. Don't get me wrong, it looks great. His stuff looks great. But I only use pipe cleaners. He'll use a bunch of other stuff. So it's much harder to get the look that you want out of nothing but pipe cleaners, as opposed to getting a bunch of stuff that looks like the stuff you're trying to make it look like already. That's the difference. That's why I say that they cheat. Nothing necessarily wrong with that either. I'm in a position right now to where I'm shocked at how much down here I couldn't get this attention in New York. One of the art capitals of the world, and I couldn't get this much attention in New York, and all the attention that I seem to be getting down here in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm shocked. And I truly, truly appreciate it. And I got a lot of people that are trying to help me, but at the same time, I got a lot of people trying to lowball me as well. The whole reason why I'm saying this, especially for anybody out there, know what your work is worth. Know what your work is worth. You know, obviously, compromise in areas that you can. And yes, there's going to be a lot of insults. But there's clearly going to be a lot of people that will try to make it seem as if like what you do is not that important or is not really worth them paying for it. Bible says labor is worthy of their hire. I'm actually charging you less, far less than what these figures are actually worth. If you can't handle that, I guess we're not doing business. I'm done talking. You guys have a good night.